Or the affinity diaspora, for example, you know that there's an extra weight applied to them, and we've had a really interesting project on links with the Caribbean, which displayed in the Epic Museum last year, which, if anybody got the chance to see it, was a real warts and all look at our footprint in the Caribbean, and told the story of everybody from Irish slave owners to Irish people who'd helped with the development of literature and the promotion of Caribbean literature, and even self-determination movements in the Caribbean. So it was a really holistic approach, I think, to looking at our diaspora in different parts of the world that was exemplified by that particular exhibition. But I suppose my question is, do you have any advice or best practice examples around engaging with non-traditional diaspora groups, and particularly those groups, and I'm thinking of maybe the LGBT community or the Irish traveller community in parts of the States that might have left Ireland due to discrimination, or even feel that the state had a hand in that discrimination and would be reluctant to engage with the state on that basis. So any thoughts on that, or any opinions on how we could best engage with those?
You very subtly handed it again, you know. You know, look, two quick elements to the answer. I think, first of all, just to echo what you said from the department point of view, this comes back to the value of having policy or strategy. Ireland is quite young in terms of diaspora strategy. Our first one was 2015, I think, right? The second one was 2020. But that strategy, what I'm most proud of in the evolution between those two strategies, not necessarily the instruments, is that became a vehicle and where we spotted those gaps in terms of Ireland's diaspora engagement, in terms of engaging with diasporas. If you said Irish diaspora 10 years ago, you would say pale and stale, right? Everybody gets the message. But it's not. And the policy and the strategy gave us a baseline to actually reflect up on that. And I think the most recent one is actually much more assertive on engaging the diversity of the Irish diaspora. And that challenged us as a community to look at ourselves as a community and to push it forward. Second part of the answer, you have to engage them where they are and on their terms. So, for example, when we did the research for the Irish government on the Immigrant Support Programme in 2014, for the undocumented or irregular Irish, whatever term you want to use, in the US, there was no point in me hosting an event in the consulate. They're not going to walk through the front door to come to me, right? And I said that to colleagues at the time, it was a waste of time. So what did I do? Jokingly, I went to the Irish pub. And I got talking to the person behind the bar, who was from South Boston, who knew where these people were working. And I made some connections through her, and we went down and we heard the community in a different way. So they're going to have to, you have to provide the pathway for them to engage, but engage them on their terms, because the key piece in all this is trust. Do they trust you? Because that's what unlocks it all. And I think, as I say, we're living in a world now where there's a bit of a vacuum of trust, a vacuum of belonging. Diaspora can give you all of that. So hopefully, I know it's a quick answer. I think we're caught for time. I want to make sure we give the artists the time that they deserve for all their hard work. So I can pick it up after for a deeper conversation.
Thanks, great. And look, hats off to the Department of Foreign Affairs and to the government, because they're doubling the footprint of Ireland's embassies and consulates around the world, which, you know, is only going to be great for servicing the diaspora. I think that's really, really fantastic. And there's all sorts of interesting niches out there. And I have to admit that some years ago I set up a thing called the Wine Geese Society of Ireland. In other words, we went around the world when I was with the Ireland Funds, and we visited wineries around the world which were of Irish extraction or distraction, we sometimes say. I remember we went to Argentina one year, and I remember going to the winery there in Mendoza. I asked the owner, I checked him what his name is. He said, "My name is Jose Luis Hernandez Murphy," right? And he has this wonderful winery. And of course, you know, Hennessy, the great brandy in France, with the Hennessy's from Cork and Lynch Page and Bordeaux. And so you can actually discover all sorts of niches. And you mentioned a few. I'll tell you one niche I think we don't do a good job on. I think government could play a role here, is to work with the new Irish diasporas here in Ireland. I mean, the Nigerians and the Kenyans and the Mexicans. I mean, I think we should be working with these people, because that gives you great soft power, and it gives you, I think, a calling card back in those countries. And we don't really do anything with them. We kind of think it's up to their country to do that work. I think we're missing a trick there. What do you think, Mark?
Yeah. And I think, I'm sorry if I can just make a comment on this, because thank you, Maurice, for just put it on the table. I was thinking about it because when Martin and Kingsley were talking about, we need to do something else. We need to do something beside, just thinking in how we can start this conversation with the diaspora, different diasporas, not English-speaking diasporas. But here in Ireland, we have a huge number of diasporas from Poland, from Romania, from Nigeria, Brazil. Of course, Mexico is getting, not in this scale, not in this level. The other ones are right here. But even though, I think we can start doing and working, and I'm going to ask for your advice, both of you, and also Laura, to work with the unit of the Americas unit in the DFA, and maybe we can start working on that in this engagement with the different diasporas, starting with the Latin American, the Caribbean diasporas here in Ireland, and start working with them and try to change the narrative, because that is the other face of the puzzle. The narrative talking about migration, that is very, difficult for us. Something happened, it's a migrant, and then, the blacklist is right there. But nobody talks about the contribution of the diasporas. That's why this panel, this project itself, in the 3 parts of the project, is all about is the contributions of our diaspora to Ireland, that is the host society, the host country, how they are contributing. If you can see, when we finish it, if you start looking around all this piece of work, there is a synergy between all of them, and they don't know each other. The artist doesn't know each other, but the way that they think, that where they belong, the place, the origin, that is a foundation, and that is where they are coming from. And, that's what they are just displaying in this work. You look at this, and you see migration maybe, you see the diaspora, you see the family roots, you see the origin, but you see the pollution, how it's affected to them. What is the sustainability? All those things that are coming together, and that's why this project is all about. But I think we can start, and thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you, both of you, Martin, Inslee, and Laura, for having this rich conversation about the diaspora and about your work that you're doing and your experiences, and how you are enriching also Ireland in this kind of thing, in this topics.
Well, thank you, Ambassador. And I'll just finish by saying, as part of the national strategy for Ireland's diaspora national strategy, one of the elements is to pass on and to help other countries with their diaspora efforts. And we've been 50 countries now we've worked in, and counting. And we were in Zambia and Nigeria there, and the number of politicians we met in those countries who were had been taught by Irish priests or nuns was just incredible. Now, we've no more priests and nuns going to Africa. It's over. But the history was a non-colonial history we had. And I think the next phase of our interaction with Africa is to teach African countries to connect with their diasporas. That's what we do. We go around these countries and we share, because it's a non-competitive industry. And I think we in Ireland could become the world leaders in this space if we really put some time and effort. And that's kind of finished by saying that's really been our driving mission over the last period of time, is to position Ireland in that sense.
When we began that mission, I had a full head of hair.
I think that takes us nicely to the closing remarks. I think I'm going to take those as your closing remarks, because we need to allow the artists to put together here the place. But I'm sure you could agree with me that this is a testament of how important these diaspora engagements are. And it was my intention with Katrina's to show you and the IOM and the Government of Ireland to show you that this exhibition it's a little sample of what we can do as a diaspora, and that could also be a part of a continuous discussions here, because we left so many things here that we could unpack, and we didn't have a time, but it's just a taste. We hopefully can have more iterations of these. It was an absolute honor and pleasure to have you here and to share this stage that it was a little bit more cozy and, and personal than the other one, but the other one was great as well, so I cannot say anything. But from my part, thank you, Ambassador, thank you, everybody at the Embassy. It was, thank you for coming and for all your knowledge and experiences. Thank you.